You're listening to 94.4 FM Friday Sports. You have your host, Jimmy Petruzzi, from New Bulgaria and around the world. We have some fascinating guests on the show. Today we have a very fascinating guest, a TV psychologist and crime expert, Emma Kenny, who's going to give us a bit of an insight into commuters looking forward to going to work if they reveal immersive entertainment experience. Emma, welcome to the show. Great to have you on board.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So tell us a bit about this study for commuters who may enjoy going to work if they've got immersive entertainment.
So Google Pixel have done this research, and they've teamed up with best-selling author AJ Chowdhury, and basically the whole premise of that is to look at how you can use the commute for positive purposes, because at the moment we've seen a transition from people staying at home and working to going back into the office. So 62% of people commute to work at least 4 days or more a week now. So essentially that pause that you have in between home and getting into the office or getting into your workplace gives you this primary opportunity to really invest in yourself and to think about how you can use that commute to use your technology perfectly and with purpose to actually create a positive experience, so that when you get to the office or when you got to your workplace, you're feeling in a good mood for work, and also you've not wasted that space and opportunity.
Absolutely, no, it makes sense to use that time, wisely. And what are some of the things that you would suggest? There are some top tips for, say, anyone listening in who's sort of, thinking, okay, well, sounds interesting, but what are some sort of? Could you share any sort of tips for our listeners in terms of what they can do?
Well, first of all, you should always know what you like. I mean, I think that people forget that they're walking around with computers in their pockets these days. I mean, a phone is just a computer. It's as simple as that. You have an expansive connection with intelligence and knowledge and opportunity, and it's right there. So if you haven't used it to listen to podcasts, to do games, to get involved in reading, I mean, I'm a big reader, so reading is something I would push massively, then you should be taking the opportunity during your commute to do that, because we know it helps with problem solving skills. We know it helps with setting you up for the day positively, and it also, you've got to think about your neural pathways in the brain. They're constantly developing, and the more that you kind of recalibrate them in a positive direction, the more positive your life is going to be. So you've got to use it ultimately in a way that's going to serve your purpose, but obviously is going to enhance your experience. And for me, I'm a crime presenter, so one of the things that's got me involved with the Google Pixel Fold campaign is the fact that they've teamed up with the most amazing writer, and they've created this gamified murder mystery ebook, which is especially designed for commuters, and you can download that for free. So if you've never actually thought about reading or getting involved with gaming whilst on your commute, you can do that. It's called The Invitation. So that's been connected with Google Pixel, and that's a great place to start. And what we know about the crime genre is it increases your problem solving ability, it increases your empathy levels, so it gives you an opportunity to kind of spend your time wisely whilst also enjoying something that 82% of us enjoy, which is the crime genre per se.
No, absolutely. I think certainly a lot of people do enjoy watching the crime program. So I guess it's a sort of another way. And in terms of sort of commuting in, does it sort of create a bit of distance for people in terms of just getting their mind in the...
Yes.
Yeah,
that's exactly it. So it's about having that pause. I think that everybody was working at home for a period of time. Most of us create some really unhealthy habits where we were doing far too much work. We weren't necessarily creating that punctuation mark between home and work life, and now we are doing again. If ever we've needed to, it's recently to recalibrate how our actions were work-wise, and now we're starting to do that. People are going back into the office and enjoying connecting with their peers in the office, and on top of that, we're in a situation where people can now use that commute time with purpose and allow...
We sort of spoke about that distance between travelling into work and going to work, and how important do you think that is, Emma, sort of creating a bit of distance, when you're on the... I suppose it's easy to sort of ruminate about things going on at work or anything else, really. I mean, that sort of mental distance gives you a breathing space, do you think, sort of going into work?
Absolutely. I think that we don't get a lot of pockets of possibility for ourselves. Most of the time when we're at home, we're looking after our family. Then you get into work, you're looking after the needs of your employer. somewhere in between is that perfect space where we can just allow ourselves to ingest or consume or be interested in the zones and areas that we wouldn't ordinarily have time to explore. And I think it can be a really captivating experience. Like I said, I'm a true crime obsessive, so for me it will always be something. In fact, it's a joke in my actual house that wherever I am, if I'm by myself, you'll either hear a documentary playing or you'll see me sat down reading some information about true crime or crime fiction, because for me, that's how I soothe myself, if that makes sense. That's my wind down or wind up activity, depending on where I'm going. And I think that the more you utilise and cultivate those habits, the better it will be for your life, because often a missed opportunity is when we've got this space and we don't feel it was something that's going to be useful and purposeful for us. And these days, technology is so amazing. I mean, it's incredible when you actually think about the democratic value of having a phone in your hand with access to the web, and you search for things and you get all of these things returned, and it gives you an opportunity to explore all these different areas and elements. And that's so unique to our modern day. That just didn't exist before. And I think that often we take for granted what we have, whereas if we take a step back and think, it's incredible what we've got now in our hands. It's incredible what our technology does. Maybe I need to think about how I can use that purposefully for my commute, so that I'm actually inspiring myself and reminding myself of the limitless possibilities. That's an exciting state of mind to have, and cultivating that state of mind is something that will benefit you in a far-reaching way.
No, definitely, and that's a great point. Obviously, sort of like, technology is giving us this resource, but I suppose the other side to it too. I mean, you mentioned they're sort of like indulging in maybe a novel, a crime novel, like problem-solving skills. I mean, the other side to it too, I was thinking as well. I mean, obviously, sort of, you see people sometimes, arguing on social media over a thread, and or like watching sort of videos that sort of probably don't. I'm not saying there's not a place for people doing that, what they want to do, providing it's, all okay. But I mean, is the other side to it too, and that's out the scope of the remit, but do you think it can be exhausting for some people to sort of like, I can only imagine it sort of being sort of exhausting as well if people aren't using it in the right way?
I think that you should always think about how something makes you feel. And if you feel frustrated or exhausted or lackluster after doing something online, the chances are you're looking at the wrong content. So absolutely, you should do what you're saying. You should note the way that you feel and apply the value that has in your life. And then if that is a positive value, that's saying reinforce, carry on doing it. And if it's the opposite, you should think about taking yourself away and trying something new. And I think you're absolutely right, where social media is concerned, it's got some massive positives, but at the same time, there are points where you'll engage in situations and discourse that aren't healthy for you, that don't make you feel good, and that ultimately make you feel a bit negative, and that means that you shouldn't be doing it. And arguably, that's the beauty about technology now. You've got the opportunity to go on mindfulness apps, meditation apps, games. Like I said, you can download this free ebook, which will give you an opportunity to actually look at something completely different, which is all gamified and still has the problem-solving context that crime has. You've got the opportunity to do all of this. The fact that I can have this conversation with you now and tell you that that's available, that's something that 25 years ago we could never have talked about. So arguably, we're in this beautiful situation where technology has evolved to such a point where we could literally learn each and every day something fundamentally new to our world. And if we're not doing that, and instead we're spending time doing things that make us miserable, it's so counterproductive. So certainly think about how you feel and then act on that. Use it as an emotional prompt to change the way that you feel to a more positive direction. In this case, I would suggest, as I'm saying, look at meditation apps, game apps, things that will make you have fun with your technology, and obviously crime genre, I'm going to say, because I'm a massive crime obsessive, and also we know that helps people with problem solving skills, and it increases their confidence and it makes them feel more empathic. So there are lots of ways you can make technology work for yourself.
No, absolutely, I agree, and from personal experience I tend to sort of do some breathing exercises, some meditation, a few tunes,
exactly,
just to prime myself before sort of going in. But I suppose, and a coffee as well too, by the way, Emma.
I've already had 2 very large espressos this morning, so I'm with you.
Absolutely.
Nothing wrong with a little bit of caffeine stimulation.
Yeah, definitely. And any other listeners sort of want to know more about sort of the study or your work, Emma? I mean, obviously a lot of them will be familiar with your work, that's for sure. But if anyone sort of like listening in wants to sort of know a bit more about sort of your work or the study itself, is there any way you can signpost them, please?
Well, Emma Kenny TV is my social media and all of my stuff that I do online, but there's an amazing ebook that I would like to point you in the direction of, which is ajchowdhury.com. Incredible authors, written the invitation. Basically, this 20-minute immersive experience that you can get for free, and also there's an actual competition for that ebook. So once you've downloaded it, you can basically count the folds in the book, and if you happen to be the winner of that, you will win one of the new Google Pixel Fold phones, which, let me tell you, I'm not a technological person. I've been dragged kicking and screaming into the technology field, but it is a beautiful thing to behold. It's a wonderful new piece of technology. So I would say have a look, get your free ebook, and also enter a competition that means that you might walk away with an incredible new piece of technology which will enhance your commute even further. So that's ajchowdhury.com.
Absolutely, and I know that many of our listeners do like a bit of a competition, that's for sure. I'll definitely check it out myself too. So thanks for joining on the show. It's been really interesting and informative. I'm sure the listeners have sort of taken away some tips and ideas from you joining us. So Emma Kenny, TV psychologist and crime expert, very kind to join us on Salford City Radio 94.4 FM to give us some insight into commuters, some tips on what we can do going into work, and obviously the download there as well. I'll certainly be checking it out myself. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you.
Cheers, Jimmy.